But
Yeah. So what about your music? What where you, let's focus less on future, more on you a little bit. What let's start with some wins and things,
dude,
accomplishments, or just
huge,
moments in the career where you've been like, damn,
huge W's.
this is huge. This is what I've been looking
Um,
for. It's what I needed.
well, the best way to start, if you want to be, I wouldn't say the best way to start. I would basically say that like you shouldn't be an artist unless you disdain living a regular life and the way that regular lives are lived. You need to come, there needs to be a fire inside of you. Like, you have to have something to say, you have to have something that you don't want to compromise on. And I was just really lucky where like this didn't feel like an option for me. This wasn't like plan A and then plan B, and then this wasn't like a dream for me. This wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna grow up and I would love to be a famous rapper and I want to stand in front of people and I want to be so popular and have everyone love me. And that was nothing to do with it at all. It was literally like, this is the only way I'm going to be able to retain my freedom of expression to the highest degree. This is the only way where I'm ever going to be able to like prove what I actually believe to be true. It's going to be the only way that like I fully represent who I feel like I am. It's going to be the only way for me to basically not become somebody's bitch along the way. Like, I might be somebody's bitch now, but like it's the only way to guarantee that like one day I won't be, and one day I'll be able to actually say whatever I want about a politician, or say whatever I want about a social situation, or say whatever I want about anything, and potentially have it affect a lot of people, without me losing my fucking job. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it was like, that was the imperative, was to be free. And music was the way I was going to do it. And rap music specifically, because it challenged the social norms of like, oh, only black people can be rappers. Because it challenged the bigotry and racism that exists in some parts of Calgary. It was like, and to harness the power of the rawness of the lyrics, like to use the lyrics as an ability to explain yourself on the track and be appreciated and understood in spite of these stereotypes. So that's kind of why I did it. It was a very like, it was a heart decision from the heart. It wasn't born from the brain. Like, it was really like, I feel like this is what's right.
Yeah.
um and yeah, like it's been a long learning process. It's like, you want to go to the Olympics for figure skating and you're from a village where nobody even has ice. You know what I mean? Like, how are you going to learn how to skate, let alone
Yeah.
figure skate? Because you need to learn how to make ice first. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like it was tough in that sense, and it was a long journey. It taught me so much about life.
So
And
step one, you would say, find your voice, find your purpose of why you're doing it.
have a purpose.
Have a
You
purpose.
don't
Yeah.
even need to know it, but like, there has to be something fucking inside of you that keeps you on this path.
Yeah.
Fundamental thing that like you will not turn back on,
Yeah.
because it's so painful, man. It's a painful journey. Like, it's fucking hard, because true success is built from strategy, and strategy only works if you actually understand reality and you're actually dealing with like what strategy is. Like, okay, when this happens, I'm going to do this as an appropriate response.
Mm-hmm.
So like, you have to expect this to happen, and you have to give it a really like an actually appropriate response. Like, it has to be appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
If you get the response wrong, you don't get the outcome you wanted.
Yeah.
So it's very mathematical. So you need to really know your shit. You can't be living in a fucking delusional world. You can't be delusional. You know, you can't just be, you know, you see a lot of artists, they fall off because like something's just not adding up there, you know? And
What do you mean, like in their mentality, or like?
yeah, like if you don't start for the right reason, you won't make it through. That's
Yeah.
kind of the funniest thing about this.
Right. Yeah. Fair enough. So practically after that, where do you go?
Oh, practically after that?
Yeah. What's the next thing you should literally be doing? Checking off your checklist.
Well, like
Starting in the
you need
game.
to know who you are, and you
Yeah.
need to be totally a-okay with saying fuck you in the face of any person who tries to come at you with any negativity about who you are. As long as you believe that who you are is rooted in good intentions, like as long as you're not um as long as you don't discriminate against groups or have prejudice against groups, like as long as there's not anything that's like unreasonable,
Yeah. There's no ill intent or anything
ill intent, like
behind it. Yeah.
delusion, like something's not adding up. Like, oh
Yeah.
man, like this guy is homophobia is a perfect example. You know what I mean? You don't have to like it, but you don't have to hate it.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't have to make you physically uncomfortable. You know what I mean? Like that's not adding up.
Yeah.
That's gonna hurt you in the long run, right?
Yeah.
Like
That kind of attitude,
you're gonna
mentality
act
towards
the
it.
wrong way. That's gonna erode into other things. If you think that that's okay, then you're gonna think other fucked up shit is okay too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's a prime. So you need to go to work on yourself. Make sure you're not a fuck person. You you have to,
Yeah.
and then you need to defend yourself, and you need to say, "I am good shit.
You need to stick to your values and
I am
and
good
what
shit." And
foundation.
if anybody disagrees with that, it's because they're not good shit.
Yeah.
Just think about it. Put yourself in their shoes. Would you act the way that they're acting? And if the answer is no, it's because they're fucked. And you make sure that you tell them they're fucked. Because, you know, the claim of the game when you're a musician, as long as you have good music. Now, this is the catch to everything I'm saying, right? You have to have good music. And we'll discuss what that is after. But, you know, no press is bad press, right? Like all you want is press. Like if people love you, if people hate you, if you are the topic of conversation, if you are living in people's head rent free, it doesn't matter. You know, your reputation, there's some people that protect and defend their reputation their whole lives. And I appreciate that. But 99% of people are going to go through something where their reputation becomes tainted in one way or another. And that's when the war begins. That's when the war of you need to prove yourself to your peers using your work, using the present moment and the future plans.
Right.
And you cannot control how people feel about you. You cannot control whether people like you or don't. You can come in with the best possible intentions every time, 100% of the time, and you'll still have people that hate you because humans are emotional. You know what I mean? And they try to reason their emotions. They try to say, "Oh, I hate that person." The truth is that they're envious of that person, but they don't want to admit that. So they're going to go and find people to relate to on all this long list of reasons why that person is annoying.
Yeah.
Try and discredit that person in their brain instead of just fucking admitting, "Hey, like you're better than me at something." You know what I mean? Can I learn from you? You know what I mean? So people have a very difficult time of admitting weakness, vulnerability, and so you can't control the way people react to you, especially if you try to be good. The stronger you get, the more people are going to be prone to hate you. So that's why, like, as an artist, you can't be apologetic about who you are. You have to understand that. And that took me a long time, man. That took me like probably 5-6 years to figure out.
Right.
And it's taken my whole life to figure out because I truly believe that if you want to be an impactful human being, inspiring in a meaningful way for a lot of people, which is a potential that we all have, you know what I mean? To, you know, it's really whatever we're comfortable with. you have to be willing to go to war for what you believe in
Yeah.
and who you are, especially if you've chosen to be that way.
Right. You have to fully buy in.
Yeah, or like
Yeah.
even a good example is when I was on the road working in studios in Toronto and Halifax because I had to learn my craft. I had to have good music. I couldn't take shortcuts. I had to live on couches and shit. Um, I was proud. I was proud as fuck of being from Calgary, and I would literally say, like, if I was in the room with a guy from Edmonton, I would literally say, "Edmonton's fucking trash. I feel bad for you." I would say that shit to his face, man, to these guys' faces, dude, and they would just like they wouldn't pay attention to it, like it wouldn't bother them. I would be literally fighting somebody if they said that about Calgary to my face. You know what I mean? Because it's like you decide who you are, and I decided to be someone who's proud of where they're from.
Yeah.
You know, I was naturally proud of where I was from, but I decided that that was really going to be something that
It's
like
part of your core.
yeah, if you were going to remember me for 5 things, if that happened to be one of the 5 things, that wouldn't be bad.
Yeah.
That's the way I felt. So I make sure that I don't back down off of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's important. And the third thing is you need good music. You know, so there's the three things. You know, you need to, one, have a reason to get going. Two, understand who you are and be willing to defend it in the face of anybody who tries to criticize you. And three, and it can't be delusional. It can't be delusional. It has to be, you have to be a realist. And the third thing is, once again, can't be delusional. Have to be realist. You have to have actually good music. And what does it mean to have actually good music? It needs to make you feel something, that it needs to make you feel the way that it was intended to make you feel. Can't be an accident. Can't, like, I made 007. That was an accident. Like, I knew I made something special because I knew, like, I believed so much in the way that song made me feel. And I got some similar feedback from other people. And it was like, I kind of expected it to do to people what it was actually doing. So there was like a little bit of a connection there.
Yeah.
But it was like, it was an accident. Like the song, I made it in like 3 minutes on a whim when I was like 3 hours deep into a 5-hour recording session, you know? It was like my fourth song.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was just literally throwing paint at the wall and hoping something stuck. And something stuck, right? So that was an accident. And I tried to roll that into a literal blow up. But like, bro, like that, I didn't know what I was doing enough. You know what I mean? I didn't have enough certainty, enough assuredness. Not only it was kind of funny because I was about as sure in who I was as a person as I was in the music.
Right.
Like I knew that there was some gold, but I wasn't willing to like
buy in 100%. Like
to fucking fight and die for it and be like, oh my God, like if you don't think that I have the best intentions or that I'm a great person, then you're fucked. Or like if you don't think my music is sick or like required talent to make or it's just sick in general, then you're fucked. Like I wasn't there yet because I didn't have the ability to take my intentions and turn that shit into reality, you know, with the music.
Right.
And that's what you need. So in order to do that, you have to be comfortable at the mic. You got to be comfortable. You got to really believe that you have made enough of a sacrifice. You can't have imposter syndrome. A lot of people have imposter syndrome. You know, they look up to musicians, and rightfully so. They should. Like, been a lot of sacrifices made by these people to make this music, and they get to the mic and they feel like they're imposters. Well, you got a lot. You gotta get rid of that. You can't have that. You're never gonna make a good song if you got imposter syndrome at the mic. So you got to be comfortable at the mic. You got to believe in yourself. You got to believe that you have the right voice for it. You got to know how to be in tone and sound good.
Yeah.
Right. You got to be in key. And you got to know your sounds, right? Like there's sounds in the language and there's sounds that even exist outside of language. And you have access to all the sounds as long as they're in key, as long as they're the pitch is right when you use them,
Right.
right? And I don't mean pitch in terms of pitch. I mean pitch for the song. You know what I mean? Like some shit could be out of key but still in pitch for the song, for example. You know, like there's very weird exceptions that are made in sound sometimes. And we don't pick when they're made. Like whether it sounds good or not is what decides. You know, it's like colors, you know what I mean? Like sometimes you get an odd color combination that actually works.
Right.
The likelihood that you're going to know all of them is extremely slim unless you're like a painter, for example, and you're an expert with color combinations. So you have to have your sounds. You have to have your ability to deliver, feel comfortable at the mic. You have to have an engineer who knows enough about engineering that they can get the stereo spacing correct, that they can get the volume and the loudness correct, that they can basically dress your voice in a way that it's like salad, man. You know what I mean? Or it's like preparing a meal. Like you put seasoning on shit, you know what I mean? To bring out certain notes or to guide the flavor in certain directions.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with you know, sounds in the song. Like you dress them with reverbs or delays, you know, because it changes the spatial dynamics and it changes the way people perceive the sound, and it lends to different emotive qualities and whatnot. So, you know, you have to have somebody who understands that stuff and is able to translate it into the actual mix, you know, and it needs to be able to compete with the best stuff that artists from other cities are coming out with. It doesn't have to be the exact same, and it doesn't have to be like legitimately better. It has to be as good and different.
Right.
It has to be original and different,
yeah.
for it to be exciting, you know? And then it's really about, you know, you try to take things that are extremely special, like extraordinary talent, and that's your advantage in the game, you know, because that's your diamond that no one else can get. No one can get that gem. You have that gem. No one else has that fucking gem.